Jack,
Yo,
can you hear me okay?
yep.
Okay, good. I was going to be a little bit concerned because normally you are early.
I was caught up in Google News going down the line and so forth, and that kind of slowed me down.
Is it the cacophony of chaos that we're seeing this last couple of weeks?
Yeah, it's I have a morning ritual of in both right wing websites, uh, just to see what their narrative is.
Yep.
And I used to think that the left-wing narratives were reasonable, but I don't think that anymore.
What are you finding?
Um, I don't think they understand that they could actually fumble.
Humble, what? Your audio cut out a little bit.
Uh, it it switched to my ear pods. Do you hear me
Hmm.
now?
Yes, I think it's better.
Yeah. There's a bunch of clear-headed Democrats that are really scolding the left for the narrative they're trying to project.
And that is?
We have this opportunity to get right wingers to actually vote left wing
Mhm.
as
Well,
long as it's moderate. But when the left wingers go out on a limb, the right wingers get crazy.
which limb?
They go too far left.
Which bar?
Well, look, the left wing has a bell curve and the right wing has a bell curve. It used to be the the the, the country had a bell curve, but now it's two bell curves. And they have this slight intersection on the moderate side for the left and the moderate side for the right.
Right, but I'm trying to figure out which of the themes or acts or initiatives or whatever else is the one that's gone too left that is repelling the moderate right.
I'm still trying to figure that out too. So, what's
Because
the
I don't,
story of that background of yours?
oh, I believe that's a depiction of a black hole, but that's somebody's, I think, artistic impression of it.
Well, the black hole wouldn't have the light spot in the middle.
I know. But
It certainly we've already seen pictures from the JWST that it does have the halo around
yes,
the sides.
although it's not a ring or a planar object as is in this picture.
No,
No, it's just something I found that I thought, make a cool background.
it is a cool background.
So, Jack, I used to think that things were bad already. In the last 2 weeks, I actually have come to a very strong hypothesis. I can't claim its certainty, but a very strong hypothesis that 47, the felon, is a serial child murderer, not just a serial child rapist. And I think that's underneath all the distractions he's really trying to cause with Venezuela, with Iran, with Greenland, with all of this crap. Because he knows that even Republicans probably would not allow serial child murder. And there's more and more people coming forth to say, yeah, that's exactly what happened. I don't know if you come across Sasha Riley, that name recently.
Mm-mm.
He was interviewed in a series of 6 interviews by, I think, a Canadian reporter. At 13 years old, he was sexually abused by a group of 5 people, and he named all 5, although I have to figure out, when he was 13, how would he know who these people are? I think he probably pieced it together after he grew up and started recognizing these people in the news. That's at least how he associated Trump, because he initially did not know who Trump was when he was 13. But after Trump got, some notoriety and he grew up, he then realized that was the guy who was part of the 5 people who actually abused him. And his claims go even way worse than that there were other 5 children. He claims he witnessed 5 children raped and then shot. These are snuff films that were being created. And part of why he knew is because, according to this, he had to clean up the mess.
What is
And
your
he was,
news source?
I will send you the YouTube. There's a YouTube post with at least 2 of these interviews that I've actually listened. I haven't gone through all 6 yet. So Sasha Riley is the name. He also served in the military, and only recently has he come forth and actually disclosed any of this. And before these were allowed to be posted on YouTube, he actually fled the country because he knew that, people would be coming after him. So nobody knows where he is right now, but it was a Canadian reporter who actually interviewed him. So I will go and find that in my YouTube history and post that to you. I have posted it on my feed, so I might actually find it there also, but I will definitely find that for you. It is beyond what I thought was already pretty bad. I actually think that if the right wing does not take this as seriously as it is, and if they still support Trump through all of this, I am just shaking my head. I don't know what to say. Okay, so let me find my YouTube
I've got him
history.
on Google right
You
now.
found him? You found him? Okay, good.
Yeah.
All right, good. Yeah, these are fairly lengthy interviews, so you can listen to the guy's intonation, his pauses, whatever you can tell from his voice, tone. Um, and I actually think it's at least worth pursuing, if not already credible. The problem is, now we have dozens and dozens of witnesses, all who've given non-contradictory evidence, and for some reason nobody believes them. We just have to see all these quote unquote files from this dead pedophile, but nobody's really listening and paying attention to what the victims are saying. I'm not saying believe them outright, but I'm saying give it a lot of credence and really pursue it. But why do we have to just dismiss them and just wait for these files that we know the FBI and the DOJ is heavily redacting? Let me see, where is my viewing history? Did you find any of the approximately 30-minute videos that I'm talking about?
No, Google didn't go. Let's try videos.
Yeah, I'm doing a search now. Here we go. Yeah, I find them all now. There they are. So I will give you the query, and you can then look at these. I'm not going to be able to vet all these in real time right now while we're on the Zoom. Okay, the link is in the chat, Jack. Okay, so the first one comes up, I think, is part two of the interview. So I think I've listened to either two, four, and six, or two out of the six. Okay, three is on this list. Two and three are on this list. Okay, there we go. Six is on the list as well. Okay, so I see two, three, and six on this list. Oh, here's four. Yeah, you just have to scroll down more to get more of them. But imagine this, Jack. If it's true, these people were creating snuff films, and Jim Jordan is named, Lindsey Graham is named, and Clarence Thomas is named, and Donald Trump is named. There's another one I forget.
So why hasn't the New York Times done a deep dive into it?
No one in the US has done a deep dive into it
That's the point. Everything is Hindustan or whatever.
because the American media are bought and paid for. Do you think there's still any objectivity in any of these publications? They're not even covering the riots, sorry, not riots, protests, this past weekend. Did you know there were protests this past weekend?
Oh yeah,
Have you seen it covered in mainstream media?
some, not as much as I would have expected, but
Yeah. Yeah, and what does the sum say? Are they giving the version that ICE is giving you, or are they giving you the version that is, you know, being corroborated by hundreds of other videos being posted on YouTube and TikTok and other places? Citizen journalism is taking the place of mass media right now, and it's way more credible than mass media, in my opinion, because all of it is aligned. They're not contradicting each other's witness. The only contradictions are coming from the mainstream media as fed by ICE and the government. Did you watch the video of was it Rachel Good who was shot three times by ICE?
oh yeah, four times.
Four times? I thought it was three. Anyway, I
Well,
was
that
talking.
today they're reporting four.
Yeah, yesterday I read that two shots were in the chest, and I forget where the others were, but I only counted three in that particular article. But I was on a walk yesterday. As you recall, I sometimes walk my dogs, and I talked to a neighbor named Bruce, whom I'm afraid is probably MAGA. But when the conversation came around to the fact that this woman was shot, he said, "Well, she was actually obstructing peace. She was actually using her vehicle to follow the police, and they were telling her to go away, and her partner was videoing this thing, and so she was trying to use her car as a weapon, and all of that." And I have seen no references to that other than the stories that ICE is sending out to the media. But all the video does not support those claims. So I was wondering whether there were any video
Well,
that
do
support
you
those
see
claims.
the hypocrisy? Um, the Iranians have taken to the street doing pretty much similar things.
Exactly. Yes. Yes.
And so here's Trump sending out the Goonies to kill
Yeah.
people here,
Hmm.
but he's going to send out the military to kill people there, not to stop the riots, but to stop the head cheese.
Yeah.
The
You need
hypocrisy is and that if you want to know why I what makes me sad about American reporting, nobody's saying that. None of the
there
news
are
items
people
are saying that.
Well, I don't think you're on any of the social media where I see a lot of people making those points. And I'm also making those points.
Well, I'm
And,
not on social media, so I
I
don't know.
know, I know. And he's now trying to make Venezuela what, the 51st state, unless he can get the Greenland first. Uh,
Well,
so now do you understand why about a year ago I was already talking about leaving the country?
well, hmm, put it this way. You're lucky you've got your health. You can do it. I can't.
Well, you're lucky you're actually a white male. I'm not.
Well, I don't consider that luck. It's a problem.
Well, you're not part of the people that Trump is coming after. I'm definitely on the list. So, this neighbor also told me, well, you got nothing to worry about as long as you follow the law and have your proper paperwork. And I said, come on, a lot of these people who were kidnapped off the street by ICE, they were citizens. They were not, people with criminal records. They were just indiscriminately snatched because of the color of their skin.
Yeah, there was an article today and about a woman who was accidentally deported,
It was intentional. There's no such
turned her life
accident.
upside down.
There are no accidents in this. They're trying to create fear. And as long as these citizens are fearful, they're accomplishing their purpose.
You can see the strategy. You'll recall that that the psychology of the reason Trump won the second debate or the first debate with Biden was because he flooded the zone, causing confusion,
Yeah,
and that
Biden had
flooding
some brain freeze.
well, Biden was already in trouble, and Trump simply took advantage of it by flooding the zone with the largest stream of bullshit anybody could imagine. Um, Biden was meager and just said, "Well, that's a bunch of malarkey," um, but he's flooding the zone now.
Because he does not want the Epstein files and his murder evidence to be made public.
So, what are the odds that some senator with a bunch of decency will go probe that?
I don't know who would. Is it Massey? I'm surprised Bernie hasn't done more. Although he's done a lot given who he is and how long he's been there and how old he is. I'm not even sure he's on the right committees to have access to some of that data. But Massey was the one who said, yes, he would read the names of all of the people in those reports. But he's been rumored to say that, but why the bleep hasn't he done it already? Now, this is just to feed
Well,
the,
and we both probably
misinformation.
agree that most of the important names were redacted.
I'm sure. Although bits and pieces are coming forth. Like, there's little tendrils of connection now that we have to piece together and then, pursue. Like Jim Jordan, Clarence Thomas, Lindsey Graham.
So, who is taking the thus far released files and putting them into Chat GPT and asking it to
That
connect the
is the
dots?
next step. I haven't got my hands on these files yet, but obviously that's the next thing to do. And not just ChatGPT. We got to take it into some open source
Yeah, you can't take it
LLM,
into right. That's
right?
exactly right. So you're gonna have to get a hold of enough GPU power uh, to to run it.
You know who's got it and would be
Who?
willing to do this?
Who?
China.
Heiner?
China.
Oh, China.
I'm sure China's
Uh,
all over it. And they're going to use it when it's timely for them.
when it's so that's the point. They're very when it's timely.
Yeah. They don't need to do anything now because our country's already falling apart without them intervening. They could move into
Theirs has its
Taiwan
own.
today and our government will do nothing because our government is in shambles. All the military, leads with any integrity have resigned already. The
There was
rest are
something I
either,
s-
yeah, sorry.
there was something I saw in the New York Times yesterday where they used satellite images to discover that the Chinese have taken all of the fishing boats that go out into the sea between China and Japan and trained them so that they line up in a line and blockade um, our military ships going through that channel. You're muted.
Sorry, I was on mute because Alexa was talking. I doubt that that would be effective. That's not going to stop a U.S. fleet. It's not going to stop an aircraft carrier. It's not going to stop a destroyer. It's not going to stop any of those boats. They could just plow right through that and nothing would happen. I think that's a mistake to believe that that would be effective. From a mile or two out, or even further, if we just took one machine gun and just sprayed the line, how many of those boats do you think would actually still stay there? Maybe 1%. Yeah. So, in my opinion, Jack, trying to reason with MAGA is going to yield nothing. Because if reason would have worked, it would have worked by now. So the only thing they understand is power. And the problem with, quote unquote, the left slash Democrats is they make themselves impotent because they're trying to reason. They're trying to apply the law. And, the right, the Republicans have never cared about the law. They work around it, plow right through it, do whatever they want. And they're just waiting for Democrats to put up a fight, and the Democrats never put up a fight. They don't understand that the game has changed. That's why the Democrats are stupid and dumb and impotent. In our military, 100% of whom actually swore an oath to defend the Constitution are 100% not doing that.
It's not 100%.
Who's doing it?
Well, for example, um, Sunny Batia is not going to go and do illegal acts.
Okay, but
He's a
he's
West Point teacher right now,
right.
and he's actually not ever going to be put in a position where he had to,
No, yeah,
because
he's behind the
he's
desk right
go
now.
yeah, he's behind a desk now, and he always will be. He's his first assignment was to a brand new Army Cyber Defense Command,
Yeah,
and they really apparently value that guy.
sure. But okay, so there's one example. What influence does he have on the people who actually could do something?
Well, he doesn't. He is taking a lot of time to teach his cadets how to think clearly, critical thinking. He understands what what value he can add to the system, not just by pushing them through the being a cadet process, but using his CS classes with them to teach them how to think.
Right. So maybe 2, 3, 4, 5 years from now, those people might achieve positions of leadership. We need something done like tomorrow, today.
Well, that's true.
So maybe he has some people whom he taught, 2, 3 years ago who might be rising, but I don't see them acting yet. You got one individual, Mark Kelly, maybe, one or two others who've come out and, said something against the administration, but they're now no longer part of the active military.
And we had apparently four congressmen come out and do exactly the same thing, and now they're being investigated.
Who are you referring to?
I don't remember the names.
Are you talking about Marjorie Taylor Greene as one of them?
No, I don't think she was.
Because she's stepping down and she's come out, speaking against Trump these days. And she used to be Trump's, most rabid fan.
Yeah, at least she's expressing a little bit of humbleness and pointing out that she now realizes how naive and stupid she was. However, the damage is done.
Very much. And I'm still not sure that she's sincere.
My thinking should was that if she was really sincere, she would have simply switched parties, taken a vote away from her from the GOP.
Yeah, I'm not sure she was ever going to ever do that. Because what I understand about her is she wants to be a senator and she would probably run as a Republican. And she would not be able to do so if she switched parties. I didn't think it would get to murder this quickly, but it has. And they're pushing and pushing because they want the protesters to snap and resort to violence, either with sticks and bats or with guns. That's what they're waiting for because the minute that happens, they have an excuse to clamp down and declare martial law. and then the game is over. This is the way the Chinese did it in Taiwan. This is the way a lot of countries have done it, elsewhere. And by the way, once martial law got declared in Taiwan, it took decades, like 4 or 5 decades, to come out of it. So this country is headed for some pretty ugly times. You think this is ugly? It's going to get uglier. Because right now it's only in a couple places, right? Oregon, Portland was attacked. Now it's what? Minneapolis? Was that where this thing happened? Um, but they're definitely going to go after other cities where they believe the quote unquote left has to be eradicated. Yeah, I think it is. Um, I think it's Minneapolis. I should know this.
Are you familiar with Aldi?
Not by that brief reference. ALDI?
Yeah,
What is that? What is that?
it's a discount market. Let's put it that way. It has more than just groceries.
Mm-hmm.
It's owned by the same company that owns Trader Joe's. And now they're saying it's America's hottest grocer.
Who just got here? Oh, hey, Kayla, we just got here. Jack was just asking me if I had ever heard of Aldi's, and I hadn't. I just learned it was a what grocery chain.
Yeah, it's a German grocery chain that came to America, and then it ends up its parent is the same parent as the one that bought the German company that bought Trader Joe's.
And what's significant about them?
Well, both of them are really cool places to buy decent groceries, especially organic foods, at not inflated prices.
I expect it's regional then, because I've never seen it up here.
Well, it's undoubtedly in Seattle, but certainly it's not the kind of store that goes into um, small towns.
Curious.
Their metabolism needs a shitload of people coming through the door.
Kayla, have you heard of Aldi's?
Yes.
Have you ever shopped
Um,
there?
yes, I've shopped there before. I actually shopped there when we were in the East Coast. But not so much here in Ventura County because it's not convenient. The location is not convenient. But from what I understand, when the government did away with some of the, what is it? Um, inspection of foods, I guess. Um, Aldi and Costco were the only ones who had their internal inspections. So you can guarantee that their produce and their meats are, you know, standard, clean, I guess.
By the way, are you on a different audio system? Because you sound more faint and like you're
She's
talking into a
driving.
pipe. Oh,
Yes,
okay. All right.
I'm driving. Oh, let me put
Okay.
my AirPods on.
Okay. I was not looking at the screen or anything here. I'm just looking up into my ceiling, my roof, my ceiling.
I have my AirPods on now. Is that better?
It does sound better.
Okay. I had just left. I dropped Max off at his dance competition, and now I'm driving home.
Is he
It's about
doing
an hour
another
away.
7 hours?
Oh, this one he's gonna be there for over 12 hours.
Oh,
Jesus.
Yeah, they don't mess around.
What kind of dance?
Hip hop dance. It's a competition. So
Oh,
today is the competition, and they have to get there um, early so that they can practice, and then they also have to register as a team. So each individual has to have their own ticket or bracelet or whatnot. Um, and the coach, anyways, I don't know if I shared this with you, but just like some minor interesting things. So they have back-to-back competitions, three competitions within 2 months, and the coach changed up the set. So they did two different sets, which is tremendous. And if you want to do it right, of course, you have to practice a lot. So um, my son and his team have been doing 3 hour practices every evening for over a week straight after school. So they've got a large load on them. And then it's loaded on us parents too. So like last week, one of them, they were getting kind of stressed out because, the sets weren't finished and they just had a lot of choreography to do. And this was a week before, today, or yeah, week before today. So they had asked me to talk to, the coach and um, some of the heads of the group because the students felt that they were getting burnt out and they were unsure and they were wondering why certain classes were canceled or the sets weren't finished. On top of everything that they're doing, school plus dance.
mhm.
And so I had said something, and it sparked conversation between the students and the coach. Eventually, they decided to continue with competition, and everything kind of went as it was supposed to. So anyhow, I did feel like, okay, I stuck up for you guys, and you guys end up doing what you want to do anyway. But that's just how the conversation goes sometimes, yeah. And they've got to use their own voice. If that's really what they want, then they either have to advocate for it hard, or do what they're doing now and just saying, okay, well, we had this talk. Now they feel better, and now they went through the whole competition. And then from a parent, from my perspective, um, the coach, like, I don't know how he feels about me, and honestly, I really don't care. But this morning, after I dropped him off, I just let him know that I'm dropping Max off. I'll be there in the evening, and you do really good work with the kids. I just hope it isn't awkward, And I'm very proud of myself for being able to have these difficult conversations to advocate for my child, and his whole team, for that matter, because they need to see that an adult is actually sticking up for them. They need to see what advocacy looks like in real time. And it's also important for me to still be professional and maintain like a decent relationship with the coaches, because a one-off isn't going to deter plans going forward, good plans going forward. And I think, these small, these conversations to bigger problems need to start like this. We all need to be unafraid to be uncomfortable, um, standing up for what we believe in, and maintain that professionalism and that respect for each other.
So, can I ask a question about that scenario?
Yeah.
When they asked you to speak on behalf of the team and voice their concerns, did they actually want a different outcome or
Yes.
did they cave? once the advocacy had been done?
Well, they wanted a different outcome. They felt a bit stressed because, again, 6 to 8 hours of school, then 3 additional hours on top of that after school. Then on the weekends, like Max and his team, they practice from 12 p.m. to 7 p.m. on both Saturday and Sunday. So it was a lot. And they did not want to do this particular competition because they, a week ago, they weren't even finished with their entire choreography. They weren't even finished with their entire set. They had to do that. They had to block, which means they had to place different people in the lineup. And then they had to clean, which means they have to make it look really good, competition ready, right? And those typically, if you have your set done early, like let's say in a perfect world, the set was done early a month in advance, then you have a week to assess everybody's strengths and block them. And then you have like a couple of weeks to clean, but not overload yourself. So that's a perfect scenario. But clearly, this wasn't a perfect scenario. It was down to the wire, So the kids just felt stressed. And the parents aren't invited to the team meetings. And I get it. They're in high school. They have to start using their voice, and they have to start, you have to start preparing them for what's to come as an adult. But I was actually surprised when all of them, I discovered that several of them were crying. Half of them didn't want to do it. But at the end of it, it ended up just saying, we're going to do it. So I don't know. I don't know if they caved into peer pressure. I don't know if the coach got angry. I don't know if talking it through just helped and they all changed their mind. I don't know what transpired there, but you just kind of have to have faith that they did the right thing. They're happy now. When I saw their run through yesterday, it looked freaking cool. Was it clean? I don't think so, but I don't know. Maybe it's clean enough for competition right now. So I hope that answers your question.
Well, I am reflecting that sometimes in my experience, such advocacy isn't followed through because it was basically more cathartic rather than outcome focused. If they were truly outcome focused, then they would be unsatisfied if that outcome wasn't the outcome. But if it was just, hey, we need to get this off our chest, we just need to express it. Okay, now that I've said that, now it's all okay now. That's an uncomfortable situation for an advocate to be put in. Like you or I could have been saying, hey, I went to bat for you. How come, you're not following through?
Yeah, I consider that. Trust me, I was kind of annoyed and embarrassed. I'm like, great.
I could tell. Yeah.
Yeah. And in fact, there was one time where I advocated for Max. I told you about it. But I'll tell Jack real quick. Max had missing assignments, and he had told me for English, and his grade was like at a D plus. And so I said, hey, it's the end of semester. See if you can turn in those missing assignments. And then he kept putting it off and putting it off, giving me excuses and saying like, oh yeah, the teacher wasn't there. Oh yeah, we had a substitute. Oh yeah, she said she was too stressed to look at it. Blah, blah, blah. So the last day of school, I went there because Max was all, oh, well, she's actually not going to accept it. And I said, you said she was going to accept it. So I went into his classroom to advocate for him. And then she kind of like lectured him in front of me and said, I already told you like a month ago that I would not accept this. And she explained why. Like, I have to hold you accountable. This is honors English. You had a chance to turn it in late and you still didn't do it. So I got really mad. I'm like, don't ever embarrass me like that again. I even told him a couple of weeks ago. I said, I know you lied. I said, I do not want you to lie again because I'm going to find out. As you can see, I'm not scared to go up to the teacher and ask. I said, and so you need to tell me the truth. and you need to face the repercussions of what's going to happen. But let me tell you, it's going to be a much better if you tell me the truth, but I won't get as mad as taking things away from you, like dance, which I told him. If you don't get your act together with school, you're going to miss the next competition. And I do not care if your coach gets mad at me or at you or whatnot. School comes first. So, but in this case, with the whole team, I am not embarrassed that I advocated, because I gave them an avenue. So if they are ready for a different outcome, then, they can either, number one, use their own voice, knowing that, okay, we already had an uncomfortable meeting with a coach. Now we can just do this on our own, or, use me as another instrumental as the segue into it. But it's necessary, especially with younger folk, I feel. And I do feel that as an adult, they need to see that I'm okay with everything. Like, I'm okay with the decision that they made. That's their choice. That's their decision. And the relationship I have with their coach. Like, yeah, he's immature. Like, he's clearly not a parent. There is no best business practices. I find that with a lot of creative people. Like, they don't know how to run business. And, as you mentioned, Sam, time management is difficult for a lot of people. So,
Okay, as long
by
as
the
they're
way,
happy and as long as you're happy, then I'm okay. But it just seems like this is more in the catharsis of expression scenario rather than, hey, we just need a different plan. That's what I'm hearing.
yeah. What do you think, Jack?
I think you handle it marvelously.
Oh, why, thank you. I try.
Well,
And this is
first of all, kids, one of the things I discovered with my kid was they don't tend to feel empowered. It's all up to
Yes.
the adults. And, I'll give you an example. My son was playing Mario or something like that on his computer. And I walked in and I said, "Why are you playing that game?" And he said, "Well, because it's the game I have." And I said, "Well, you're playing somebody else's game. Why don't you write your own game?" And he swiveled around in his seat and he said, "Can I do that?" And it just hit me. Jesus Christ. This, what are these kids thinking? And I said, "Of course you can." And he is now a game designer and he's damn good.
Nice. Nice. I feel like as you're growing up, you and when you have kids, um, you can learn two ways. Number one, like for me, my parents never advocated for me. They never cared. I discovered now that my mom advocated for my sister. I don't know why she wouldn't advocate for me, but my dad certainly did not advocate for me. Still didn't change that I love them. But my point is, because I did not have that support from my own parents, I decided to support my kids. And then I also see that, like in the case, it sounds like in your kids, Jack, maybe even Sam's, that they see the parent advocating for them. So they in turn feel like they, growing up like that, they might have a voice and wouldn't be afraid to use it.
Yeah, theoretically speaking, kids learn by mimicking, and so you've got to set the stage for them to mimic the behaviors for them to mimic, and advocating for them is pretty powerful. Now, when you get
Yeah.
out into the grown up field, if you're not advocating for yourself at the medical clinic, you're in deep shit.
Yep. Oh my gosh, yes.
I
I
sense
mean,
some
I
You
horror
had
know,
to,
stories. Go ahead.
I was gonna say I had to empower my own parents and let them know, like, doctors aren't gods, okay? They're not gonna like solve everything and be right all of the time. You know, if you don't feel something is right, it is okay to question it.
that's the point. Um, I learned it myself because I had a physician as a decision as business partner. Uh, I'll tell you the story. I called him one day on the phone at the clinic, and I said, "Do you know anything about AI?" And he says, "Yeah, we could do that here at the clinic." And I said, "So you've got a computer?" And he said, "Well, yeah, that too." And then it hit me. He was thinking AI is artificial insemination. And I said, I had to correct him and say, it's artificial intelligence. And he said, "Oh, you mean like doctors?" And it ended up that I convinced him to be the domain expert for an expert system. Uh, and the first one that we did was for headache and GI.
Mm.
And he came over to the house after I had it partially finished. And he sat down at the table and he said, "Okay, I'm a 78-year-old woman." And he started answering the questions. And all of a sudden it stopped him and flashed a screen that he had written that said she may have an aneurysm or something like that. And he says, "Oh my God, I wasn't thinking of that, but it's right." And that convinced him.
Oh,
And so my sister was complaining of chronic headaches. So I took it down to with me and to visit her, and she ran it through, and it said it stopped her and said, uh, "This is not an emergency, but you should probably talk to your doctor about a brain tumor." And 6 months later, they pulled a meningioma out of her head.
wow.
They hadn't seen it. So we were convinced we had something. So we switched to acute pediatric yuppie puppies, and that was he was making reference to the fact that the hippies of the '60s became the yuppies of the '70s, and by then they were making yuppie puppies, and they were probably at odds of what to do about it. And so we made an acute pediatric program, um, and ran clinical trials on it, where a nurse would run the program when the parent came in with a kid, and we discovered something called parental exaggeration factor. The child, now picture this, the child is sitting on the floor playing with the toys in the toy box. And when they ask the question, "Is the child in pain?" and the parent would say yes, and then what degree, and they would always choose excruciating. And excruciating is our key to say, "You're going to the E room now." But
Yeah.
the nurse conducting the quiz, would look down and see the kid wasn't in anything like it. So we had to re-ask the question a zillion different ways to tone down the parental exaggeration factor.
Mm.
Parents don't do that, Jack. Come on.
They probably do that because I know I do that sometimes. If people won't take me seriously, then I exaggerate until they do.
Well, he's the guy that taught me. We were riding in the car on. I would get in the car with him when he was going out on external rounds. He had to go to an old folks' home to declare somebody dead and blah 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 and so on.
Oh,
And he actually took me with him to the city jail. He had to recharge somebody's infusion implant, and so I was the technician that was running the pump and so forth. So it was my first trip into a real jail, um, and so I said, do people like me drive you nuts? And he said, no. He said, you're the kind of patients we like because you ask questions. He said, most
yeah.
people come in and just say, fix it. And they expect to get a pill or a shot. And if they don't, they're very unhappy and they get pissed. Um, whereas you force them to go into the details of he said most doctors like that. Some are intimidated, but most like that. So when I was
Most competent
diagnosed with,
ones.
yeah, when I was diagnosed with leukemia, I was just all over the doc with shit about it. And the first thing I did was disallow his prescription. He was going to he said, I'm going to clean you up for a bone marrow transplant, and I said, no, you're not. I'd already done enough research to know a bone marrow transplant. Actually, the internal name in medicine for a bone marrow transplant is kill and rescue. So I basically got rid of that doc and found one that was who was more reasonable, even though his brother was a transplanter. He went along with what I wanted to do.
Mm.
Now that was 1989. If I'd gone for the bone marrow transplant, which would have occurred probably in 1990, I would have been dead by 1995.
Wow.
So, yes, you have to advocate. You have to do your own research to be able to advocate. And if you don't do your research to advocate, if you just come in and want snake oil, they're going to be on you. Kids, I have to go. Breakfast time.
All right, Jack.
Uh-oh.
I will recap our earlier conversation with Kayla in case she's interested.
And there's a high
Hmm,
probability I'll miss tomorrow.
no problem. Enjoy the day.
All right. See
Hi,
you
Jack.
all.
See you,
Bye bye.
Jack.
Hey.
Well, I will first
You're
say
stuck.
I may not. Well, I'm just telling you up front. Okay, I may not enjoy recapping that conversation for you because it's not a pleasant topic that Jack and I first
Oh,
talked about when we first got here.
Why you guys were talking about me?
Well, that and all right, I'll stay away from that topic.
No, I don't care.
No,
Yeah, it's
we
okay.
actually let me just ask you. And if you say no, then I'll offer to not talk about it. Okay?
Yeah.
Have you come across the name Sasha Riley this past week or two?
Uh, I don't know why it sounds familiar. So I probably have. But if you can recap, then that would be great.
Okay, are you okay with us going into a topic which would either drive me into a tizzy slash rant again, or maybe you, or maybe both of us?
Totally fine.
I'll try and control myself, but it's hard on this particular topic. Sasha Riley, when 13 years old, young boy, was also sexually raped and mistreated by Trump and four other men. Later on in life, when these men became famous, he then was able to associate names to them: Donald Trump, Clarence Thomas, Jim Jordan, and Lindsey Graham. I hope those names have come across your attention, in the past. And there's another one that I forget. I'll have to look up the actual reference. But it's much worse than that. He says he also witnessed five other children, I think most of them were girls, also around the age of 13, raped and then shot and filmed. And the insinuation is these were snuff films that were being recorded.
Snuff? Did you say snuff?
Yes, SNUFF.
What does that what does that mean?
This means an actual film that records someone actually being killed.
That's what it means? Snuff
Yes,
films, people being
yes,
killed? Oh,
yes.
okay.
And he gave a series of 6 interviews to a Canadian reporter. And each of them is approximately half-hour long. I've only listened to 2 of them so far. Now, there's a chance that this guy's lying, but I don't think so. The reporter doesn't think so. And everything he's saying aligns with what we already know about Trump and these other people. So I think it's much worse than I had thought 2 or 3 weeks ago. And already it was bad enough to get this guy impeached slash thrown in prison.
Yeah.
But I think part of why Trump has escalated his violence, including murder, his bombing of Venezuelan boats, his taking over of Venezuela, his threats to Greenland, his his threats with Iran, are because he definitely does want to distract us from more of this information coming out. And I think that this information is going to corroborate what Sasha Riley is claiming. Now, obviously, you can't just take for 100% fact, what he says. We have to, dig into a little bit more. But there are many, 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 many victims. And for some reason, we choose not to believe these victims. We choose to believe these files that a dead pedophile might have kept rather than believing victims. And I therefore think that Trump is not just a serial child rapist. He's a serial child murderer.
Yeah.
This follows about 2 or 3 weeks. The story where another young girl, 13, I think, got pregnant by Trump, and he killed the baby and threw it overboard in Lake Michigan.
Yeah. Yeah. I heard about that.
This guy's a murderer of children,
Mm.
and he's fucking up this country.
Mm-hmm.
And there's too many impotent people in government and military that are just standing by and letting this happen.
Yeah.
So when I decided to leave the country about a year or many months ago, I was already decided thinking things were bad enough. It's even gotten worse. We have a pedophile murderer running this country, disregarding the law, disregarding the Constitution, abusing his power, creating distrust with every other country in the world other than Russia. And we definitely are now a shithole country.
Yeah.
And when I was telling people I was going to move, people were saying, "Oh no, no, it's not that bad. It's not going to, last. We'll just wait till the next election." I still say, and most people still don't believe me, we're not getting another election. Not if we allow this guy to stay in the White House.
Yeah.
He's going to declare martial law before the election. He's going to provoke the protesters. He's going to manufacture violence. He's going to then use it as an excuse for martial law. He's going to then, impose his autocracy on every region, especially blue states. And he's going to disallow elections, or he's going to claim there's election rigging. And we'll never be able to get him out of the White House.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's my recap of a quick conversation with Jack before you got here. Sorry about that.
No wonder you guys were all quiet. I'm like, oh, is it just me and Jack?
Yeah, I'm
Oh my
just a
gosh.
negative Nelly. I'm just a Debbie Downer now.
That's all right. Sometimes we need people like you.
But only sometimes. Only on Saturday mornings.
Yeah, it's all right. My son just texted me, said he forgot his electrolytes in the car. I'm like, oh God, what the fuck? That's all right.
He
Whatever.
forgot the
He'll figure it out.
electrolytes. In other words, his replenishment of all his.
Yeah.
Yeah. By the way, what do you use?
But
I like Body Armor Light. Have you come across Body Armor Light?
I don't know. I
I like it
don't
way
drink
better than
electrolytes.
Gatorade. I hate
Yeah,
Gatorade.
I know. I'm not really a fan of Gatorade myself.
Nope.
Yeah.
If you go to Costco, I think they carry Body Armor Light, which I think is way better than Gatorade, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But when he says electrolytes, what does he normally drink?
Well, there is, I think, electrolyte water or something. That's what it's called. It's just a generic brand, you know.
Okay. Yeah.
So, but he's in Glendale, so he's got. I was kind of jealous. Last competition, we were in Pasadena, I think. Not too many. Like we were close to a neighborhood. We were in a high school, so not too many walkable, places. So today, the competition is at a theater, like a professional theater, in Glendale, and the neighborhoods around there. It's on Brand Street. Brand Street's actually, well known. They have so many restaurant options and stores that he can go to. And I gave him my card.
Oh,
Yeah, well, he's pretty responsible with it. So I gave him my card, and I was a little jealous because I was like, oh man, I guess we could have stayed. But I got too many things to do. Plus I still haven't taken down my Christmas tree. I mean, it's fake, so it's no big deal. Um, it's nice at night. I still haven't taken down my Christmas tree. I still need to like trim the trees in the backyard because the gardener doesn't do that. He just maintains the lawn. Um, and I actually have to work because the event is creeping up. And even if I do get another job, I still want to do my best. So, um, yeah. I just
Okay,
got my
so
tax statement too. Oh, okay. Go ahead. That's okay. We don't have to
oh, so
talk
this
about
is
my
actually
money.
early. This is only mid-January, and you already got your tax statement. Man, they're on the
Yeah,
ball.
yeah. Well, I saw how much money I made, and I was like, ugh, this is terrible. I need to make more, especially with all the fucking work I do. Shoot.
Well, so at least now Max is occupied for the next 10 or 11 hours, and is Damien with Kenny today?
Yeah, yeah. He's with his dad this
So
weekend.
you're a free woman today.
Yeah, relatively free.
Yeah, you could spend like
Um,
4, 5, 6 hours in Vegas before you have to go pick up Max.
oh my God, if it were that close.
It is. All you got to do is like, fly. It only takes less than an hour, right?
Yeah, exactly. We're close to Burbank. So,
Don't they still have those $49 flights?
yes.
Because, Vegas, I've heard the business is way down in Vegas. So I'm sure they're looking for customers and visitors again.
If only I loved to gamble. I do not like to gamble.
You don't have to,
I would
just go for
really
the restaurants, the entertainment.
exactly that. I was gonna say if I were to go there, it's just for the food.
Exactly.
They seem to have all the really good restaurants in Vegas, and they've there has been some like mom and pop restaurants that have come up that a lot of influencers like to showcase, and they look
In
really
Vegas?
good. Yeah, the creativity that some of these restaurants have now. Oh, plus there was like a all you could eat lobster joint there.
No kidding.
Yeah, right.
How much? How
You
much for
know,
all you can eat lobster? How can we do that?
I think $90 or not 90, $79. So
That
almost
could be worth it.
$80.
Can't do that
Yeah,
every day, but
exactly. I know. I feel kind of bad for all the lobsters though. That's a
yeah.
lot of dead lobsters, man. That
So,
is a lot.
did you know that in Boston, hundreds of years ago, lobster was shunned by the rich? They thought it was only for poor people.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, aren't they bottom feeders?
I think they are.
Yeah. I just remember when I was living on Maui, I would go night diving with some Polynesians, and it was very easy to get lobster. You just tuck their tail in, and then throw them in the bag.
Would you ever get
And
like scratched by their big claws?
no, I didn't. I never really handled um like the cooking part of it. And I know, well, it was actually pretty easy to pick them up. You pick them up, tuck their tail in, and you just do it really fast. And then you
Oh,
watch them hang on to they watch them sadly hang on to the, the bag. They always look so sad with their claws, like they're in jail. They actually make noise when they die too.
no.
Yeah, it's so sad. It's like this like high pitched kind of screaming noise, but not the screaming that we think it's very like a door closing that needs oil. It's very sad.
Yeah, I guess it's a common characteristic. People with
Huh?
life seem to want to. People with life seem well, not people. Entities with life seem to want to hang on.
Perhaps it just hurts,
Yeah.
and that's their body's reaction to the pain.
Aren't crab bottom dwellers as well? And yet people eat and love crab.
Yeah, yeah. Did I ever tell you that I was in Costa Rica driving through, I don't know what region, when the crabs were migrating, and I ran over like hundreds of crabs.
Jeez. The tiny ones?
It was like,
2, 3 inches?
they were good sized crabs. They had the ones with their claws up, and they walk sideways. You know that one. Yeah, just running them over with my car. It sucked, but there was like hundreds or thousands of them on the road, scampering by.
Which reminds me, when you were in Costa Rica, did you ever go to a sloth sanctuary?
No, I did not because we always saw all the sloths.
Oh, they're everywhere?
Yeah, well, for me.
Because, my oldest daughter, Amy, when she was uh, finishing up high school and before she entered college, she wanted to go someplace for a summer. And one of the places she was considering was to go to a sloth sanctuary in Costa Rica.
Yeah. Wow.
I think she ended up
Yeah.
doing a multi-week art workshop at UCLA. But yeah, that was one of the things she was considering.
Ah. Yeah, no, they were everywhere. We went to I don't know what to call it. It's kind of like equivalent to, liquor store or a small, snacks shop, but it's usually owned by the people who live there. It's usually run out of their house. Um, and uh, sorry, I got distracted for a second. I'm looking at my text messages.
Wait, can you still hear
And
me?
one of them, yeah, I can still hear
Okay.
you. Can you still hear me?
You're really faint.
Oh, that's weird. Okay, what about now?
I wonder if it's on my end.
Might be on your end.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, I accidentally hit the button that says, you know how there's a noise suppression option on my headphones? I accidentally hit that, so I was
Yes.
hearing a lot of noise from my surroundings.
Ah, yeah, no problem. Um, but yeah, I was gonna say that one of the places we went to stop for some snacks had talked about how they found this baby sloth, I guess. It like looked like it had fallen from somewhere during the rainy season near their place. And so they took it in and decided to, you know, take care of it. And the sloth became like a part of their little family. And it like hung out in the tree in front of their shop. And it was so cool to see the slow ass sloth in front of their tree. So in Costa Rica, they were pretty much everywhere. And they were saying that sloths can actually be faster, especially if they're like in danger or they're fighting. They actually fight pretty quickly, like normal animals. But um, because of their metabolism or something, their genetics, they're normally really slow.
I did not know that.
Yeah, right? Oh man. I'm
Yeah, the only
finally
videos I
home.
see are these ones where they're just slowly crossing a road and somebody picking them up,
Yes.
with a towel and taking them to the other side of the road.
Yes. So cute, huh?
Yeah. You kind
Yeah.
of wonder how they ever survive if they're that slow.
Right, right.
They must taste
Exactly.
horrible.
Yes.
I've never heard of anybody making a sloth burger.
Yeah. Yeah. Aw, they look so friendly with their smiley faces. Oh, by the way, I just got an email from the fourth trimester, wanting to move forward with
All
the
right.
final interview. Yeah.
Well, I'm
So
happy to repurpose the recommendation I wrote.
yeah, that would be amazing. Especially if they ask for it. Hopefully, it won't be 23 questions. So
You think I laid it on too thick?
you think you?
Do
No,
you
no.
think?
I loved it. No, I loved it. Thank you. I was very honored to get, especially that first that first sentence of hire me.
Yeah.
I don't. I'll save you the trouble. Just hire her.
You like that?
Yeah. I.
It's like TLDR. You know what TLDR means?
No.
That's a common,
What is it?
abbreviation these days. Basically, TLDR means here's the quick summary, like, 5 words or less. It basically means too long, didn't read.
Yeah.
Amazon, cancel. And then I go into the detail later, but that was the TLDR version.
I had to tell Alexa to stop the music too. Oh my gosh, the dogs are happy to see me. Rocky's happy to see me, huh? You're happy, huh? Oh, yeah. He was
Ah, you
jumping
got
on
home.
me.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So you could probably hear me much better now, huh? You can go outside?
Now you're on the network, right?
Okay.
In your
Yes,
Wi-Fi. Yeah.
yes,
Yeah, the audio is pretty good.
yeah. God, it's been beautiful here.
Oh man.
What's been not to
I
brag,
actually
but
see
how's it
sun
been
right
over there?
now, There's actually like
Oh,
shadows on the
nice.
ground. Yeah.
Yeah.
Literally, it's it hasn't shadows haven't been around for weeks. I see
Oh,
shadows today.
that's really interesting that you say that. Shadows.
That's what happens when, it's always cloud cover for weeks on end.
Yeah, no, you're right.
There's an aspect of it I really like though. But then, change is good every once in a while. And I see bright spots of green with dark spots of green. And I think, those looks like shadows.
Yeah. Did you ever hear from Eric?
Well, he did warn us that he was going to be much, much busier than he used to be. So not heard
Yeah.
from Eric recently. Although, I think you were there last weekend and the weekend before when Heiner brought a couple of his friends. And
Yes.
I think he was intending on doing more. I found out a little bit more about the second fellow he brought. What was his name?
Okay.
Jurg,
Yes.
um, the sociologist.
Right.
He had a very interesting story with Doug Engelbart. Remember that?
Yes. Yes.
And I read up a little bit more on his background. I thought, man, I could have many hours of conversation. So I'm looking forward to having either GCC or CSG conversations with him again, or setting up other follow up because he's a pretty interesting guy.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, he is very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
What else have you been up to?
Well, now that the weather is good, now I have to get really serious about emptying out the bottom floor and getting rid of some furniture that's just, intended to be temporary, then redoing the carpet, putting in some hardwood composite, and then getting it rented, getting some new appliances. Those are the three things I got to do with the flooring, emptying it out, getting some appliances, and then it would be rentable. And then I have to do the top floor. And so I think I mentioned this last week, but now the weather actually says, hey, we're ready, no more excuses. So I got to get going on that.
There you go.
It's also nice to have a little bit, I mean, the days are slightly getting longer now.
Yeah.
Not by much yet, but still, it's progress. When is sundown for you guys down there? I think it's later than
About
here.
well, about 5 o'clock,
Yeah,
maybe
see,
five
we're not close
thirty.
to five. Yeah. I think
Yeah. Why?
we're
When's
it's
sundown?
still 4:45 up here or something like that. So it still gets dark before 5 up here.
Wow.
Yeah. I know because I took the dogs on a 2-mile walk and I left around 4:15. It was dark by the time we got back.
Yeah. Yeah. I would say, let's see, when I come back, I take Max to practice. I come back and it's like kind of getting dark. And usually at the time at about 5 o'clock or 5:15 when I come back, then
Hmm.
I make dinner and then relax a little bit. But before I make dinner, lately I've been scooping up dog poop so that I don't have to do it in the dark.
Hmm. And we have Heiner. Heiner, we were talking about dog poop.
Yay! Yes, yeah,
This is
wonderful
correct.
topic.
This is me.
Hey, Heiner, I was just telling Kayla that I really enjoyed meeting that friend of yours we brought. Was it last weekend or the weekend before, the sociologist?
Yes, Hans.
Yes. So I definitely am looking forward to having more conversation with him because, all this collaborology stuff has gotten me into an amateur sociologist interest.
Yes, he was also quite thrilled and excited. Uh, I will also put into our room our Jörg Alte cruiser, and with him, we are all hands now preparing March 20th, Equinox Earth Day.
Oh,
I will keep you briefed. It will be a live connection, I think, with New York, Vienna, Berlin, and probably Tokyo. I'm not sure yet.
mhm.
We had just the steering meeting yesterday, and this was the last time I was sending you this recording, something top notch.
Well, let me ask you a question, possibly about logistics. If I can get everything settled here and get my place rented out, I have planned on spending a month or so in about a dozen different locations, like
Mm.
Japan, like Thailand, like Vietnam. But some of the locations are Italy, Cyprus, Montenegro. So I was wondering if we planned it far enough ahead of time, whether you would like to go to Italy or Montenegro or Cyprus or Albania or Latvia or Estonia or maybe even
I,
Spain.
I have to be in Montenegro sometime, but this is very, very hard to coordinate with Mila because she is really a power woman in government and an old friend. And this would depend also on my schedule. I'm planning to go to Cyprus. It's really moving ahead very, very well, actually.
Wait, Heiner. Did you say Mila is in the government in Montenegro?
Yes.
Wow, I did not know that.
You have met Mila before?
No, only online.
Yes, but then you can see her profile on LinkedIn.
Ah, Well, I hadn't registered that in my old memory cells.
That's why we talk. We call it communication.
Yeah, sometimes it even happens.
Mhm. Anyway, we did it also many years before, and also with the people about the 21st century Agora. And that document draft, I hope I can get ready over early next week.
So
Then
you
you see
mentioned
a
those
little
two.
bit my pairings in the last 30, 40 years. It's for me a major effort.
Okay. So I know you said it was hard to coordinate, but what are you thinking? What are your plans now? If everything goes according to plan, what do Montenegro and Cyprus look like on the calendar?
Cyprus is very interesting for me, and I think it is in June. But and post-conference, even as a satellite, much later, we are meeting also in pre-conference. It's all in the open. The invitation.
Wait. That last part, I couldn't hear that. I couldn't hear the last minute or so.
Okay, it is in the making, and we are having pre-meetings the next 2 months, February, March, and then we know more. But the ISSS conference is, I think, very clear in June.
Oh, ISSS is in Cyprus?
We are there at the university and making an international system sciences and community building and the 21st century Agora since 68, the opening documents which were tabled by the Club of Rome before they were founded and where they clashed.
Ah, okay. June might be possible. I'll coordinate that with you and Alexander, perhaps.
Yes, Alexander will be there.
Yes.
He is very much in that group of Asilomar and Austria, and he is president of Bertalanffy Center in Vienna, and this is all under the umbrella of various system sciences organizations. And it would be very good to have you there as well. And
I would just be a fly on the wall. I've never been to an ISSS, although maybe 10 years ago I considered joining.
no, it's about all under the umbrella of IFSR, International Federation of Systems Research. It's a federation of 300 system sciences group or 200 whatever. And we have our main gathering, but there are also many other around social sciences, cybernetics, governance, diplomacy, democracy, and Alexander got a lot of insight through his father.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, I'll have to give myself some legitimacy by then. I'll have to make up a fancy title and a fancy research organization.
Well, there is a call, and you should really, maybe also visit that call to really present it there.
I'll consider it, but yeah, June would be enough time to plan going. I'm not sure it's enough time for me to plan a paper by then.
Well, we are very flexible. We always have ad hoc things. We called it Hall of Fame, where someone is pitching. Well, all this is there if you follow up a little bit on my YouTube playlist. But
Okay.
I have to see now if my friend is ready. Yeah, good. So I'll probably talk to you tomorrow.
Okay, thanks for dropping in, Heiner.
You're welcome.
I'll see you tomorrow.
Gut, dann hast du hier Power jetzt.
Ja, ein bisschen.
der geht zu schnell aus bei der Kälte. Der ist nicht so
Ich
klar.
habe auch ständig was. Also ich kann eben aufschließen. Machst du da was rein?
Hey, Heiner.
Ich bin auch da in the Technical University Library, and I have a friend waiting here. And
It's nice to visit the technical library there. Oh, I see it again. Okay, good. Kayla, you still there?
Yep, I'm still here.
It's always interesting how
Oh,
Heiner flits in and flits out.
yeah. Oh
But
boy.
it's interesting to know that he's going to be in Cyprus in June, and Alexander is going to be in Cyprus in June. And Cyprus looks like a
Yeah.
very interesting place that I'm considering.
What
That might
country
be a
is
good time to.
Cyprus in again?
It's its own country, I think, but it's on the way
Yeah.
east side of the Mediterranean. I think it's
Okay.
just south of Greece or just west, just either south or just west of Greece.
Nice.
But it's close to Turkey also. And so I'm wondering whether it's too close to the flashpoints in the Middle East. I don't think so though, because I think it's a very lightly populated island, even though it's kind of sizable. It's a sizable island. And it's got some advantages. That's why I'm looking at it. It's a very, very neutral location. Nobody seems to be after Cyprus in any way.
No resources there.
Could be, but I don't need a lot of resources. I just need electricity, air, food,
Exactly.
water.
No resources to plunder, that is.
Yeah. As long as they're friendly people and good food. That's all I care about.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, there we go. It's almost directly west of what appears to Lebanon. Yeah, there we go. It's like 50 miles from Lebanon. But from there, it looks like the EU is pretty accessible. So that's what I'm wondering about. Yeah, I think it's southwest of Greece, and it's just south of Turkey. Oh, immediately to the east is Syria. Yeah, so it's Greece, Turkey, Syria, Lebanon, Israel. That's what's close to Cyprus. But it never seems to make the international news as a, flashpoint of any kind. But then Montenegro looks interesting, just south of Croatia and Bosnia Herzegovina, and just east of Italy. So it's got some nice coast. Beautiful, just south of
Nice.
Dubrovnik. And then Albania is just south of that, and then Greece. And you know what? The more I look, the more people there, all over that particular area, look way more civilized and way happier than people here in the US.
I'll bet.
Oh, another topic that came up when I was talking to Jack was yesterday I took my dogs for a 2-mile walk, like I mentioned. And
Yeah.
I was talking to one of my neighbors because I was asking him about a lot, two lots, two driveways south of where he was, where I see a pretty intricate, pretty large foundation had just been poured.
Oh.
And so somebody's clearly building there. So conversation went around to various different topics. And then I said something like, geez, this country, that woman got shot. Did you see the video? And then he went into a long story saying, well, she was provoking violence and, she'd been
Wow.
following ICE for a while and her partner was videotaping this and she was definitely trying to use the car to, attack the ICE guy. And so he was not of the opinion that she was just trying to drive away at 1 or 2 miles an hour, that she was definitely trying to cause harm to this ICE agent. That's what his story was. So I asked him for
Interesting.
references and I asked him for stories, but he's definitely of the opinion that she provoked some attack. And then I said, well, even if she did, she was only driving 1 or 2 miles an hour. Does that merit being shot in the face 3 times? And he was saying, well, these people definitely are fearing for their lives, these ICE agents he was talking about. And so I just
Really?
gave up. I gave up then.
Yeah. People will, I feel like people will believe what they want to believe, unfortunately.
I asked him for
Like
sources.
they'll make they'll just, the narrative in their head, they'll justify. Just doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's a shame, to be honest.
Because I've seen whatever videos are out there. Now I can't claim it's true, but have you seen anything that leads you to believe that she was provoking the violence and
Nope,
definitely trying to cause
not at all.
trouble? I've
No
heard no
way.
such reports of that either.
Yeah, yeah,
And yet that's what this guy wants to believe.
yeah. Well, it sounds like half the country is murderous, then, especially if they want to, if they're okay with having a murderer in office.
You think they're going to be okay having a child murderer in the presidency?
I honestly don't think that people find that okay by itself, but most people will justify it if they really are seeking the outcome, of continuing to have Trump as president. I
Jesus.
don't think, yeah, I just, kind of like, I feel like we're both, like both sides of politics are kind of doing the same narrative, which blows my mind, to be honest. And I first started noticing that a couple of years ago when, people of um, Republican means were saying, like, do your research. Like, it's the same thing that I've seen Democrats say, do your research, or like talk about how each other are stupid. It's like politics, the two polarizing sides are saying the same thing. And how do you deal with that? Because it's not, to me, it's not the same thing. But how are people seeing the same thing? I feel like Republicans are just, okay, we're putting our heads down and we're going to go forward with the plan, however ugly it is right now. We're going to, eventually we're going to come out with, putting criminals like in other countries in jail, or we're going to come out with better, lower prices of groceries and gas. We're going to come out like with better opportunities as Americans. At this point, they're putting their heads down and just kind of going with it. because what's the other alternative? To admit that they're wrong? Whereas Democrats, I think they just don't want to take accountability with their errors of the past. So all of the things that the Democrats are touting about how, you should be for the people, et cetera, clearly their actions have not been for the people, or they wouldn't have somebody like Bernie out of the race. But they don't want to admit that either. So instead, it's really easy to blame the other sides and say the things that are obvious, like educate yourself. You're fucking stupid. And again, how do you get around that? It's a losing argument. And I feel like being divided is really, really bad. The outcome is going to be bad for everybody. Yes, I agree with you. I think that idiot has to be out of the office. But unfortunately, I'm discovering more people that I love and respect are, Republican. Like, it's not just my mom, okay? That's like the ultimate, which, by the way, she said something to me that made me think, oh no. But I'm trying not to go there with politics because, I know my mom. It's really difficult. It really is. I don't even know if I'm making sense.
I followed you.
It's infuriating because for me, when I see Republicans say something like "do your research," I'm just like, I've done my research. Like, duh, use common sense. It infuriates me. It just brings up a part of mental health. What is that called? Gaslighting. Or when when I was being mentally abused by one of my ex-boyfriends, just basically throwing things at me that were so untrue that it just fucking pissed me off. Like, that is not true. Why are you saying that? That is, like, to me, that's like a mental health condition. And I know, unfortunately, that it's a losing battle until something happens to that person, that would make them think otherwise.
I resemble that remark. There is a clear difference that you and I can see. And just for the record, I'd be happy to do the research with whatever sources the other side, Republicans, whoever else, wants to provide so that we could consider it and see what makes sense. The difference is I don't see them being that open. I don't see them willing to consider other sources as well and then try to make sense out of everything that potentially could contradict each other. Then you got to sort of track down, okay, so is this source, trustworthy? Is this source, highly corroborative of this other source? And if you take a look at that, it's easy to come to the truth if you consider all sources and all the evidence. But people who want to filter it and say, oh, well, that's just false truth. I'm not going to look at MSNBC. I'm not going to look at this. I'm not going to look at that. Those are the people who are going to be in these echo chambers. But truly open people will look at all sources and consider all the evidence and weigh all of it together. And that's the difference. And some people are willing to do that, and other people are not willing to do that. And it's easy to tell.
Yep.
So there is a qualitative difference. And the fact that some people are not willing to do that, there's a word for that. It's called being closed-minded, dogmatic.
Right.
And those are the people who will actually then be easily fooled by the sources that they quote unquote trust. Oh well. So I'm going to follow up with Heiner and see if I can get a another session with Hans. In fact, I'll try and see if they can come to one of these upcoming weekends. And then
Yeah.
I'll look at this event in Cyprus and see if I can have even a chance of making that happen, which means I got to get everything done here by like March or April if I'm going to seriously consider doing that.
Yeah.
You ever been to Cyprus?
Nope.
I
I've
might
been to
actually join.
Cyprus in Orange County.
I didn't even know there was one.
Yeah. That's why I was like, where is it? You know, there's even, I think, a Montenegro in Costa Rica.
Well, it just means Black Mountain, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a movie I encountered 20 or 30 years ago called Montenegro, and I'd never heard of the place before I saw the movie.
Mm,
I got to rewatch that. I didn't appreciate it probably at the time.
yeah.
I'm actually getting more excited, because if I can wrap things up here, the places I want to go look really, really fun. And I want to spend
Good.
like a month in each of these locations.
Yeah.
And I just want to, like sit in one of these little cafes right out there in the street or in the city center, the patio, the town center, whatever. Just have coffees, just have breakfast, just have lunch, just have dinners. That's how I want to spend, a
Yeah.
month in each location. That to me sounds really, really fun.
Yeah. I'm happy for you. And June's just around the corner, if that's when you want to go, if not sooner.
Well, that's when this ISSS event is taking place. So
Yeah.
that would be a fun time to meet other people and possibly float around this idea of collaborology and see if anybody's interested. When I made reference to, making myself credible, I was kind of jokingly thinking, I gotta incorporate the Pacific Research Center for Collaborology or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or Collaborology Research Institute of the Northwest, something like that. I got to give it a
Yeah, there
name.
you go.
Yep.
Yep, there you go.
And publish one
Get
paper.
it out.
That's what I got to do. Get one paper published.
Exactly.
And by publish, I mean, have it on Google Drive somewhere.
Put it on a blog somewhere, right?
Exactly. Right.
As long as it's out, right?
Exactly. Here's a
That a
link.
few people
Go read
read
my
it.
paper.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
I have dozens of references. All of them are Heiner and Alexander and you and Eric. And
There you go.
yeah, yes. The Research Institute has collaborated with a number of internationally famous researchers, and I list them all.
There you go. There you go. Give me money. Passive income.
Oh, and I could hire you to be a development director so you could help us get some grants.
Yeah, there you go. I'm really excited about both of my potential opportunities.
They look like
Is
really cool organizations.
yeah, one of them is very women. It's women driven, women inspired, um, and it's the founder told me some of the things that they had wanted to eventually, like I think 2027 is they want to take care of the single women, the single mom community too. They were saying that the wildfires that happened in Altadena, I believe, is where um, some of their clients were at. They discovered that they were single moms, and so they were helping them, get back on their feet. And so I was really excited when I heard that. I said, I am a single mom. I know what it's like. you know? And anyways, it's really nice to give voice to women and work with women. They're both very different teams too. One of them is like a small team of, I almost want to say middle-aged women who are very intelligent, very business savvy, and strategic. And then the other team, Habitat for Humanity, of course, it's a mix of men and women, but they are all very energetic and fresh and young, actually. This would be a younger team. I'd be among the older, crowd of this, of that team, if I were to get hired on that one. So
Nice.
both of them are risks. I mean, I guess being in United Parents is a risk too. But yeah, I feel really good about both of their missions.
And would both be full time?
Yes, both would be full time. And both are hybrid, except the Habitat is much closer. And the other one is in Pasadena, which is, I don't know if you're familiar with that area of Southern California. So there's Burbank, and then Glendale, and then Pasadena.
I have an aunt who used
Pasadena's,
to live
yeah, yeah.
in
I think
Pasadena.
Pasadena, from what I understand, used to be either Pasadena or Glendale used to be a sundown town. Have you ever heard that?
I don't know what that is. Is that like a retirement community?
No, it's like a racist
Oh, I didn't know
town.
that. Oh.
Back in the day, they were only like they were very pro Caucasian, anti anybody else. But clearly, it's not like that anymore because that's believe it's a part of LA County. But anyway, that was a really interesting bit of history with either Glendale or Pasadena, from what I understand. So it's not as close. Well, I would say the distance when you're thinking about traffic is just as bad as Angel City Sports, but I also feel like the demand isn't so great. I realize that if we're catering to the Paralympics 28 plus the LA 28, that the reason why I just decided I might want to be closer is because if something were to happen and Max, I discovered something going on with Max's school or him, I felt like the flexibility to be able to take care of that wouldn't really be there with Angel City Sports just because of where they're headed in terms of getting fundraising for the LA 28 or Paralympics 28. So that was the only reason why. So, but anyway, enough about that.
I did know where Pasadena was, clearly because my dad used to live in Irvine, but even decades before that, one of my aunts and her family lived in Pasadena. And of course, JPL and Caltech are there, but I didn't really know that it was a very racist. I didn't even know the word sundown. I still don't
Yeah,
know the word sundown.
I don't know if that's
And
the right term. I'm gonna look at it.
oh, by the way, a piece of trivia: the very first Toys R Us I ever became aware of was in Pasadena.
Yeah.
Because I remember on one of our visits there, this is probably 60s or 70s, way before you were born. Um, we were out trying to go someplace, and I saw this huge store and had these colorful letters, on the side of it, and the R was reversed. And that's how I first became aware of Toys R Us. It was incredible that there would be such a large building that had nothing but toys.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
New concept
Toys
for
R
me.
Us, dude. Toys R Us was like right by us
Do they
here
still
too.
exist?
No, they yeah, a couple of years ago they filed bankruptcy, I believe, so they don't have any more Toys R Us. Oh,
Yeah,
by the
they
way,
used. Yeah.
if you're wondering about the sundown town, so I was right. A sundown town was an all-white municipality or neighborhood in the U.S. that excluded non-white people, primarily Black Americans, but also Chinese, Mexican, Jewish, or Native Americans. through discriminatory laws, intimidation, or violence, often marked by signs warning people of color to leave town by sunset. This practice aimed to enforce racial segregation, meaning non-whites couldn't live there and often faced threats of violence if they remained after dark. So I was right. It is called a sundown town.
The more I find out about the U.S., the uglier it gets.
Yeah, I know. It's embarrassing.
Oh, so stupid. I thought we were past most of that.
No, we're not. Remember how I said a long time ago, I feel like racism is new. And people were like, what are you trying to say? It's been around for like hundreds of years. If
Yeah.
you think about the world as a whole, it's new here in the United States.
It's
Like
not
we
new
have
here in the
not,
United States.
it is compared to other countries.
Well, the United States is new compared to other countries, but it's
Yes.
been at the core of the United States since its founding.
Yeah. I guess that you're right. The United States is new. So I guess, yeah, you look at it that way.
Well, it's been around 250 years, and it's not likely to be around much longer.
Yeah.
In fact, I want, European Defense Union or whatever, NATO, whatever, to come in and just free us from Trump.
Yeah.
We need that.
If it were that easy.
If there was a scenario where even China came in and took over the United States, I'm thinking, China's actually pretty well run these days, other than the fact that people don't have freedoms. But unlike the US, they're more honest about it. The US
Yeah.
claims you have freedoms, but we don't. In China, they don't claim that people have freedoms. They're a dictatorship, but at least they're
Yeah.
upfront about it. We're a
Yeah.
dictatorship and we're not upfront about it.
Yeah.
And at least there, they build infrastructure like trains, and transportation systems and big cities. Oh, well. Who knows what's ahead, but it's not going to be pretty for the United States.
Yeah. Agreed. That's why in a couple of weeks, Max will have his passport. I think I'm gonna pay for expedited shipping just in case. I mean,
Makes sense.
a couple of
I'm
hundred bucks for a peace of mind.
exactly. I'm gonna do that too. I got to go down to Seattle and see if I can do it in one day. See if I can do one of those quick updates.
Yeah.
Although I'm not sure I'll be
Well,
approved because now at the entries, the airports and other ports,
mhm.
reputedly they're now checking people's social media history.
Oh, really?
And if that's the case,
Interesting.
there ain't no way I get let back into this country.
Depends on how many people like it and follow you and
I don't think that's the criteria they're going for.
what? Then they're not smart.
Well, then you better start stacking up the likes on my posts. I'm just kidding. Oh, well, that's why I have to think, if I ever leave, I can't really plan 100% that I'll ever get back in.
Yeah.
And people, just don't understand that. I talked to this guy yesterday. He's obviously a white Caucasian male. He's got
Yes.
no
Yeah.
concerns
Yeah.
because he's not the target.
Nope. But he will be a target of much booing if if he goes to certain countries.
Oh,
People in
man,
other countries don't like Americans,
well, for decades we've heard the
especially
term
those
ugly
ones.
American, right?
Yeah, it's so embarrassing.
Now it's obvious we're much uglier than have even been thought of.
Yep. Hey, baby. All right. Well, it's already 10 o'clock. I think I'm actually gonna start working on my house, get some stuff done.
Okay, enjoy.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna see if I can plan a Costco trip today or tomorrow.
Sounds amazing.
Every 2 or 3
I know.
weeks, I have to do that.
I have to see if I can plan a Costco trip myself. So, all right. Well,
All right,
awesome talking to you as always, and
later
I'll see you
then.
tomorrow.
Okay, later. Bye bye.
Okay. Bye.